need to unleash Josh Allen to win this game on Sunday?
If I'm the Bills, I go into this game with a conservative game plan early on. I'm throwing to the tight ends. I'm running James Cook a lot. And I'm seeing, can we get control of the game that way? If we don't have control, it's nip and tuck, or God forbid I'm behind, that's when I'm unleashing the dog, so to speak, and letting Josh go Superman mode and seeing if I don't want to get behind, don't get me wrong. But if we can't get control of the game conservatively, then I'm going to have to let him go ahead in Superman mode.
Well, Jags are first against the run, which is going to be problematic, and they haven't been very good in terms of pressuring the quarterback, sacking the quarterback. They're 29th. They're low again in pass defense. They're 21st in pass defense. The game plays out, or should play out, where it becomes a passing game. Now, where I have real concerns is similar to what we were talking about with New England. They're very good in terms of interceptions. They're very good in terms of takeaways. And that, if Josh goes too extreme and tries to go, similar to the style we've seen in the past where he takes those chances that he shouldn't take, this is a team that can actually capitalize on that. So it's striking a balance of, it's got to be pass first, just based off of how they're built, Jacksonville built, and how good they are at certain things. But the chances he takes, this is a team that can actually make him pay for it.
Listen, I agree with that, but and I said a version of this earlier, but I'm going to repeat it. I find some of the way we vacillate between, in our Josh Allen discussion, we as a media, deification and patronizing. Like he's playing the position at the highest level I've ever seen. There were a lot of people, and I went at him, and maybe I ended up was wrong. Before the year, I argued with our pal Bill about this. Before the season started, he was like, Josh Allen's the best player in the league. And I was aghast. I was like, Patrick just beat him. Like, how he's like, he's the best player in the league. Whenever he's had these monster games, we talk about, is he going to get in the MVP conversation, best player in the league? And then the patronization part of it is talk about, like, don't ask him to do too much. Make sure he doesn't make the mistakes. Now listen, the Bills aren't a perfect team. It is not a failure. It is not an indictment if he does not carry this team to the Super Bowl. But this is his opportunity. This could be his moment. And it is for a player who is discussed, I don't think this is hyperbolic, in terms of one of, if not the most physically overall gifted player ever at that position. He's at least discussed in that ballpark.
Sure.
It is not too much to say, Josh, here's our plan. We are going to unleash you. We are going to ask for the wow plays, and we need you to also not turn the ball over.
All right, there are numerous multifaceted dimensions to this specific discourse. First and foremost, the fundamental objective of constructing a strategic blueprint that does not necessitate your quarterback performing superhuman feats is not an act of condescension. It is a demonstration of intelligent, prudent coaching, the exact approach employed by all elite mentors. Observe the dynamic between Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, or Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. Select any exemplary coach-quarterback tandem from this era or historical periods. The principle remains consistent. However, I can currently grasp the underlying point being made. The language of excessive caution. We must be careful with Josh. We cannot allow him to engage in this manner or undertake those actions. We must prevent him from encountering trouble, can indeed carry a patronizing undertone. This pertains specifically to an overly conservative philosophical approach. The objective should not be to restrict, but to implement a coherent, deliberate strategy. You develop a game plan predicated on collective execution. That is the operative focus. Within the framework of that plan, if Josh Allen identifies a situation, at any juncture, where transcending the schematic design is warranted, he possesses the autonomy and trust to execute precisely that. You are entrusting him to be Josh Allen. The methodology is not about imposing restraints, as if instructing him, Josh, do not scramble and survey downfield. Not yet. We are adhering to the plan. Such a directive would be counterproductive. For illustrative purposes, let us simplify Josh Allen's superpower. though this reduction does not encapsulate his full brilliance. Assume his potential liability and concurrent strength is an over-reliance on his rushing capability, an irresistible urge to tuck the ball, absorb contact, and physically overwhelm defenders. If a coach were apprehensive, this tendency could prove detrimental. The instinct might be to declare, "We want none of that presently. Only if we are trailing and conventional methods fail will we authorize it." That is flawed reasoning. You install your offensive system and execute it. If, on the second play from scrimmage, Josh Allen discerns a crease for a 40-yard touchdown dash, a quintessential individual superhero moment, he seizes it. If the opportunity materializes on the very first snap, he capitalizes. Contrast this with a scenario where Josh Allen is 24 years old, participating in merely his fourth playoff contest, earlier in his developmental arc. The dialogue might then appropriately be, "I acknowledge your extraordinary capabilities, but I do not yet have full confidence in your discretion regarding optimal timing." There exists a necessity for greater adherence to the schematic structure. This mirrors conversations Andy Reid undoubtedly had with a younger Patrick Mahomes. "I am aware of the spectacular plays within your repertoire, but that does not obligate you to attempt them on every down. This specific moment does not call for it." Mahomes himself has referenced this process of learning to trust Reid's system, evolving his decision-making over time. A similar developmental aspect applies to Josh Allen. Yet, in these critical playoff moments, a core tenet must be absolute trust in the quarterback's capacity to execute what is situationally required. Herein lies a potential asymmetry in Buffalo. You may inherently place greater confidence in Josh Allen's playmaking than in the strategic designs of offensive coordinator Joe Brady. In more symbiotic partnerships, McVay and Stafford, Reid and Mahomes, there exists a profound mutual understanding and shared vision. The quarterback and coach perceive the game through an aligned lens. This depth of synchronized trust and strategic intimacy is a luxury Josh Allen has not consistently enjoyed in Buffalo. Certainly not to the degree Mahomes shares with Reid or other elite pairings. This disparity is perceptible. I often scrutinize the sideline interactions following a quarterback's mistake, a missed throw, an interception. Observing Stafford and McVay confer, one witnesses a dialogue between equals, a mutual processing of the event. You yearn to comprehend their exchange. That caliber of collaborative problem-solving represents an element largely absent throughout Josh Allen's tenure in Buffalo. Perhaps it existed marginally with Brian DeBole, and one could argue for a degree with Brady, though evidence from broadcast glimpses does not overwhelmingly support a deeply reciprocal dynamic. I'll leave that assessment there. Ultimately, the philosophy must be to trust Josh Allen to be Josh Allen. If that trust results in detrimental outcomes, then the organizational failure lies in not securing a head coach capable of cultivating that essential relationship and constructing an offensive ecosystem where the quarterback can thrive within the system rather than perpetually operating outside it. If the prevailing concern is that Allen will be too reckless or attempt too much, then the accountability rests with the franchise for not procuring the coaching aptitude to architect a team and game plan that successfully channels his generational talent towards sustainable victory. Now, addressing the central query, do the Bills need to unleash Allen on Sunday? This question borders on the unanswerable due to football's inherent unpredictability. If Trevor Lawrence suffers a strip sack returned for a touchdown, a possibility against any quarterback, or if a deflected pass results in a Bills interception at the Jacksonville 10-yard line, or if James Cook breaks a 55-yard rushing touchdown, then the answer is a definitive no. The necessity for a heroic, unleashed performance is context-dependent. We attempt to force the question into a framework of, given the caliber of both teams, must Josh Allen be unleashed to compete? The truth is, we possess zero prescience regarding the game's flow. Comprehending the impulse behind the question, it is how we structure these analytical discussions. I acknowledge that sometimes the query is more straightforward. A statement like, for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts must be exceptional. Saquon Barkley cannot carry it alone, carries logical weight against specific opponents. However, in this specific Buffalo-Jacksonville context, I remain unconvinced. I cannot recall any Bills contest where one could accurately predict the precise moment Josh Allen would need to be unleashed. Did he require unleashing against Baltimore in last year's playoff victory? Unclear. Was he unleashed against them in Week 1 this season? Certainly. Did anyone anticipate needing an unleashed performance against Tampa Bay? Unlikely, yet he delivered. Thus, the question feels somewhat contrived, an analytical exercise rather than a prescient inquiry. I am not opposed to contrived sports questions. They fuel essential debate and narrative, much like the must-win designation. We engage in this for conversational dynamism. Otherwise, discourse stagnates. This query essentially becomes a vehicle to discuss how great must Josh Allen be for Buffalo to win. The answer is simple. He must be great. He cannot merely operate as a game manager. Yet, this does not preclude the possibility of a game unfolding favorably where such Herculean efforts are not continuously demanded. The mandate could simplify to be intelligent, protect the football, avoid reckless decisions. If risks are taken, utilize your legs, not dangerous throws. Slide when appropriate. Conversely, it could evolve into a fourth-quarter scenario where, trailing by 10 points, Allen must force passes into tight windows and extend plays through improvisational scrambling. Precisely the behavior we've witnessed this season when he felt the offense required individual heroism merely to remain competitive. We lack clairvoyance regarding which scenario will manifest. This uncertainty is where unconditional trust in Josh Allen's greatness becomes paramount. The league's scheduling further contextualizes this matchup. A 1 p.m. ET Sunday playoff slot is not designated as premium box office real estate. The marquee primetime windows are reserved elsewhere. This scheduling likely reflects the league's perception of the matchup's national draw, perhaps influenced by Jacksonville's market size, despite Josh Allen's star power. I believe Buffalo occupied a similar early window against Denver last postseason. The NFL, if anticipating a blockbuster, would position it for maximal, unobstructed viewership. A 1 p.m. start does not signify that designation. We shall observe how events transpire. Those are my comprehensive reflections. I am eager to absorb your perspectives. What is your assessment of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills' prospects? Is unleashing Allen a prerequisite for victory? I anticipate the commentary regarding James Cook, as a peculiar contingent persists in fabricating a rivalry between Allen and his running back, an altogether bizarre phenomenon. Nevertheless, persist in your advocacy. Please share your thoughts. I engage with every single comment. Whether your viewpoint aligns with or contradicts my own, let us delve into detailed discourse. Let us engage in passionate debate. But ultimately, let us derive enjoyment from the intellectual exchange. Please consider subscribing. We are actively constructing a remarkable digital community and would be thrilled to have you participate. My objective is to forge a space where we experience a genuine sense of connection and shared enthusiasm for the sport. I believe we are making significant progress toward that goal. Additionally, please remember to apply a positive rating to this video, as this action substantively assists with content visibility within the platform's algorithmic systems. Thank you very much for your time and engagement. I look forward to our next interaction.